pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Last one.
Okay.
Last time.
I already have my Skippy ready. Speaking of which,
Good evening, everyone. We had executive session prior to this meeting to deal with litigation and zoning. I would also like to let everybody know tonight is the first night that this meeting is being recorded, so make sure everybody smiles. I'd like to introduce the gentleman down there, Dan Alexander. He is helping us get through these speed bumps of this recording, so thank you very much, Dan. Moving on to the agenda, number 2 is personnel appointments. So I thought I might take a moment and just explain why we are going through personnel appointments. And then at the end of our meeting, we'll have supervisor comments. But for those of you who are not aware, Lorraine, our township manager for 31 years?
31 and a half.
Not that she's
Don't forget
counting.
the half.
Don't forget the half.
Yeah, has decided to move on to greener pastures and retire. So we're very happy for her. And as she leaves, we're going to appoint 2 people to kind of filling some of her void. So on personnel appointments, we have Township Secretary and Treasurer to be bonded at $2.5 million will be Joseph Metzinger. And on B, we have Assistant Township Secretary Treasurer bonded at $2.5 million will be Marianne Egan. So Jack, do we need an official motion on this?
I think we should probably just do motions on it.
Okay. So if I could get a motion to appoint Joe and Marianne to the assigned positions.
So moved.
I would imagine you're abstaining.
I don't need to abstain,
Oh,
but
there you go.
I second.
There you go. Joe's on top of it, guys. So, all those in favor? Aye. Okay. Can I get a motion to approve the consent agenda, A through D?
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second?
Second, Caleb.
Any discussion?
None for me.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, confirmed appointments. Lisa Keating. Is Lisa here tonight? Come on up to the podium and
Hi, Lisa. How you doing?
introduce yourself. Tell us where you live and what we can do for you.
Good evening. My name is Lisa Keating. I live off of Moyer Road, just down the street. And so I came today. I was actually going to request a speed study for our road. Moyer Road does not currently have a speed limit sign posted either direction on the road. We moved there in 2022. So I have 3 young children. Another family moved in. They also have some young children. I do believe the majority of the people on the road don't have smaller individuals there. So bus stops have been added on our street. My kids have to cross the street and walk down the street. We don't have sidewalks, especially in front of my home. There's ditches on the side of the road. So we have to walk on the road to get to the bus stop. I believe with Callow Hill Bridge being out of commission currently, a lot more traffic has been going down Moyer Road. And I just want to make it a safer place for my kids, especially during the hours, commuting hours is when the bus stop is there. And that's when they're getting off and on the bus. Also, we're on the same street as the Blooming Glen CSA. So they have pickups Tuesdays and Thursdays all day, usually from 1 to 7. That can be difficult, even myself, who drives slowly, knowing that CSA is there. There's definitely, when you're coming up the hill, you can't see the parking lot. And you can't see people about to cross. So people definitely drive very fast on our road. Originally, my concern was that I didn't know what the speed limit was, so how can I ask people to slow down? If there's no speed limit sign posted, you can't fault them for that. But doing more research, I was able to see that Hilltown Township did post that there's a list of the roads and the speed limits, and it is posted for 35 on the website, but there's just no speed limit noted on the street itself.
Did you say 35?
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah, so it's 35 online, but I would like people to know how fast they're going down our street. It is hard. I understand there's kind of a hill leading to and from the creek, but people drive very, very fast. I've also noted, I've seen online having a speed feedback sign. You know, when you have the speed limit sign of 35 and then underneath it tells you how fast you're driving to let people know how fast they're going over the speed limit. So I know the speed study, I think, was to determine what the speed limit would be. But since I was able to find that information, I'm just going to request that we have that speed feedback sign instead.
Okay.
Chris Engelhardt.
Yeah, you're lucky we have an expert in the back of the room. Chris.
Chris Engelhardt, come on down.
Chris is our chief of police, so.
Oh, hello.
Hi, Chris.
I'll have to check into it to determine if it is actually approved at 35 miles an hour if a study was done. If it is, it's just a matter of posting the signs.
Okay.
If not, then we have to do a study.
Okay.
So I would request that if it's not official at this point, if you could approve a study so that we wouldn't have to wait to do the study.
I guess we can do that, sure.
Thank you.
I agree with that.
I agree with that as well.
Okay. So can I get a motion to have a speed study on Moyer Road if it's required?
Yeah, if necessary. I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, confirmed appointments, Pennsylvania Department of Transportation, 309 connector update.
Can we
kill some
dim the
lights?
lights so we can see the slides? I am Chris Bellotti from McCormick Taylor. We are the designers for the 309 connector project.
Hang on, Chris. Everybody, can you see that in the back? Is that good up on the screen? And how's the volume for him? Can you hear him? Okay.
All right, great. So just a little background on the 309 connector. It goes from 476-63 to 309 interchange. The first section from 63 to Allentown Road was finished in 2012. The second section, which is shown on the screen here, is currently under construction. That's from Allentown Road to just past Hatfield-Solderton Pike. Construction's been going on for approximately 2 years now. A lot has been done. Next slide, Clayton. Some things still remaining is the roadway basically between Allentown and Cowpath is pretty much done. Noise walls have been constructed. There's still some minor guide rail work and striping to be done there. That roadway won't be opened until everything's done for HD2. So we're still completing construction on the existing Township Line Road. There's 2 culverts. One of them's already constructed for the stream. The other one will be constructed this season. And we'll complete construction along Township Line Road and Hatfield-Solderton Road area. That's where you see the traffic kind of split. Some traffic's on the new roadway. Now we're finishing the other side of the road. And then we'll redo the Cowpath Road intersection. And that is scheduled to be completed and open to traffic in the fall of 2025. I just want to make a note too that schedule is independent of section HT3. It's not like if they get finished earlier, they're just going to go and start doing HT3. It will be a totally separate contract. So the schedule is totally independent. Now to discuss HT3. If you see on this board, we have a board over here too that's might be a little easier to see. So I'll just explain what's going on for HT3. Basically, it's starting at the end of HD2 at just past Hatfield-Solderton Road. continuing with 1 lane in each direction, 11-foot lane, 8-foot shoulder, pass over the at-grade railroad crossing. We will be installing gates for vehicles, or when the train comes, the gates will come down. We're coordinating with the railroad on that. And then we'll continue past the Hidden Springs community.
You got a PowerPoint or a red line where you're talking
Yeah.
about it?
There you go.
Imagine where this is.
Here you go. Right, so this is the Hidden Springs community here. Right, yeah. Yeah. But then, I just want to make sure.
That's okay. It will. They know where these places are.
And so we'll be passing this Hidden Springs community. There'll be noise walls on both sides for the Hidden Springs community. And then we'll be coming onto the intersection of Township Line Road, basically where the new chop facility is. That intersection will be totally redone. Auxiliary lanes, right turn lanes, left turn lanes in each approach. Then we'll continue with the connector on the Fair Hill Road alignment, where we'll return to a partial interchange of 309. We will be replacing the bridge on Fair Hill Road. That will be replaced with a brand new bridge and then a roundabout for the 309 northbound that will connect into Fair Hill Road. We also have improvements along Bethlehem Pike that kind of connects up to this little inset here, where we'll be putting a roundabout at County Line Road and Bethlehem Pike. And then we'll also be teeing up the Spur Road intersection up here. And then we also have additional work on Bethlehem Pike that's not shown here. That's on the bottom of the screen, down at Berge Road. Some of the improvements that were just made recently temporarily will be made permanent. There'll be that left turn lane will be closed permanently. In order to do that, we'll revise the Unionville intersection to allow for double left turns onto Unionville Pike. That will entail some minor right-of-way takes at Unionville intersection to widen the road. And then we'll be installing a traffic signal at 309 and Church. Next slide, Clayton. This is just a depiction of the roundabout there at Fairhill. You can see the new bridge over 309, and then the on-ramp as well as the off-ramp there. Next slide. And then here's another depiction of the roundabout at County Line and Bethlehem Pike. On the right there is the Hidden Springs community. And then, so as far as building the roadway, several road closures and resulting detours will be utilized to construct the project. There'll be temporary closures of Fairhill, Township Line, County Line, Bethlehem Pike, but that would all be at different stages of the project. All residents and business access will remain open at all times. One thing to note is the PA 113 and Keystone Drive intersection will require a traffic signal during the detour. And based on our consultation with PennDOT, the signal will remain in place after the project is completed, and that is because it's basically warranted right now. So it will be used during the detour, and then it will remain in place permanently. So some of the final activities still going on. Our final right-of-way plans were approved in mid-2023. So right-of-way acquisitions and negotiations with property owners are ongoing. All right-of-way property owners have been notified, and the process has started, with the exception of the Unionville Pike area. There's a couple of small right-of-way takes that we're still finalizing that we expect to get started very soon. And then we're continuing with final design, which includes utility coordination, stormwater management, environmental permitting. The project is scheduled to be advertised for construction late 2026, and construction activities expected to start in 2027. Now, we've had stakeholder meetings with all the municipalities, the counties, and in discussion with Hilltown Township, one of their concerns was about the traffic on Fairhill Road. So I'm going to turn it over to Nick D'Angelo, who's going to kind of explain how we took a look at that area.
go back just a little more. Okay, so I'm gonna kind of cover the roundabout there, and then the area to the right there on the screen on Fairhill Road. So the way this is, at that roundabout there, that's the end. That'll be the end of the state-owned roadway, and then from that point down Fairhill will remain township roadway. So Clayton, can you go into that? So just wanted to kind of give an explanation of how some of this background here. So before the HT2 and HT3 projects started, PennDOT partnered with the Delaware Valley Regional Planning Commission, DVRPC, to model and forecast the traffic based on these two projects being implemented. The DVRPC, they're regional. They have models that cover the whole region. There's 9-member counties. And when they do these models, they factor in, so they factor in the projects like HT2, HT3. They factor in the development, background growth, employment. There's a whole list of factors that go into their numbers. So we partner with them, and they produce the numbers for both of these projects, the traffic projections. Next one, please. So we get the numbers from DVRPC, and I'm just going to quickly just kind of briefly talk about this. Is for the section of Fairhill Road just past.
Sorry, but there's no way we can see that. I don't know if you have handouts or you can copy.
above that?
No, this isn't something that we can just
Emergency lights or
not see. You have to be able to see it. I'm so sorry.
You have also on the website. Do you want to direct that or?
Well, I think it would help in the conversation and understanding and interpretation of what's being presented.
Is the presentation posted somewhere?
We can make it available. We can make it available.
We do have some handouts.
We have some handouts. We just don't have enough for everyone.
Then maybe I would ask you to go through what the column headings are and what each
I'll go through it. I can go. I'll highlight some of the.
We also turn on that, right?
You can't, it's emergency.
Yeah.
There you go.
All right. Well, I'll try my best. I'm sorry. Okay. So there's various different information up there. So I'll explain. So the columns across the top. So the time period, which is either AM peak, which is the morning rush, or the PM peak, and then there's also daily, which is traffic throughout the whole 24-hour period of the day. And the next column over is the direction of the roadway, eastbound or westbound, Fairhill. Okay, and then now we have the different scenarios of volumes. So existing traffic counts, these are the numbers from 2019 that DVRPC got counts and projections in 2019 to show the traffic. In this case, this is Fairhill Road. So I'll just, an example, in the AM peak hour in the westbound direction, there'll be 100 vehicles. So the AM peak hour will be the highest 1 hour of traffic in the morning. And that the morning rush hour. Usually it's somewhere between 7 and 9 a.m. So that's, pre any of the HT2 and HT3, it's existing. And then the next column is no bill 2045. So when we do projections for projects like this, we do numbers for like the year it opens, which in HT2's case is 2025 roughly, and then project 20 years out. So we don't want to design for the year we open it. We want to design for down the road, so we, so the next column says no build 2045. So what that means is that is after HT2 is complete, which Chris mentioned is the project that's in construction right now. That ends about Hatfield, Souderton Pike. When that project is complete, but HT3 is not built yet, those would be the numbers. So.
What are the numbers? I'm sorry.
I got it. I'm coming. So I'll keep using westbound in the AM just to stay consistent, so we don't have to. I won't go through the whole thing. So westbound existing in 2019 is 100 vehicles in the AM peak, and then post HT2, and that's now this is 20 years out, would be like 160 vehicles in the morning rush. Now 2045 build, which now is HT2 would be built, HT3 would be built as shown on the board there, as Chris described. So then those numbers would go up again to 440 vehicles in the AM peak. So just to put, okay, so I just highlighted one of the directions, but as I could go through all of them. They all do the same thing. You know, they do go up. And down the bottom row, which is daily traffic, so that's over the 24-hour period. That includes the AM peak, the PM peak, and all the other hours. So it goes from existing 1,700 vehicles to, after HT3 built, no, I can't see it, 6,800 vehicles in 2045. Now, that also includes, obviously that's 20 years out, but everything's constructed at that point. So,
Is there a 5-year marker? Why are we going so far out?
well, the reason to go 20 years out is because when we do our designs, we design for 20 years out, just so when you know, to accommodate all that, to accommodate that traffic. Because in 5 years, it wouldn't be as much as 20, just with background traffic growth. So we would want to make sure, because if the years are too close, possibly we could design to something that in 5 years is now over, you know, obsolete or not big enough for. So that's why it's projected out.
If I may, folks, we're going to have time at the end of the meeting for public comment. You can ask all your questions. These gentlemen, I'm sure, are willing to hang out.
Sure. So I went through, so there's one column I didn't cover on here yet, and that's the semi-diverger 2045. Now, I'll cover that in the next slide, Clayton. Thank you. Okay, so before you get to that, so I just showed the, just went through the numbers, the raw numbers. We did a simulation that, Clayton, could you, and so I apologize, this might be a little hard to see, but we could show it later again, but is it going, Clayton? Just hit the presenter mode. I'm not sure. There we go. Okay, so it is difficult to see, but this is the 2025 PM peak hour. So which I mentioned earlier, this will be post HT3 being constructed. You can see the roundabout there in the green. Or you did, okay. So what this is showing is the modeling software that we use. We put the traffic data into there with the new design, and it projects what the road would look like with the traffic on there, which I believe was around 400 vehicles-ish or so in the peak hour. So you can see the vehicles, just kind of give a perspective of what that may look like on the road. So, I mean, we could, if anyone wants to see this, we could move on to that. We can show more of this later if anybody, it is a little bit difficult to see from. Clayton, can you go to the, yes, please. Okay, so I kind of set up where we're at, how we got to where we're at, and this current design. We have since, we have met with the township to discuss various things relating to the impacts specifically to Fairhill Road. Some of the suggestions that have come up have been, number one, to reduce the speed limit from 45 miles an hour on that segment. And being that it's a local road, that would be a decision for the township. The township expressed interest in truck restrictions using that segment of the roadway. And PennDOT has offered to install speed humps along that section of roadway as a traffic calming measure to dissuade traffic from speeding and/or cutting through in that area. So these are all things we have discussed with the township. So, and there's, I claim one more. I think there's one. Okay, and I kind of mentioned this on the chart that I was going to come back to this. This is another traffic calming measure that was discussed with the township. It sounds, so let me just come over here because I'm not going to be able to point to this. Sorry. So a semi-diverter, it sounds complicated, but it's really not. So basically, I'm sorry, you can't see, I'll see it on this board better. So right now, Fair Hill Road, and the way it's currently designed, the roundabout, traffic can go both directions. What a semi-diverter would do is essentially this direction, headed down Fair Hill towards the roundabout interchange, would be allowed to go. However, coming this way, this traffic could not access Fair Hill Road. So if they came this way, there's basically two options. You go on 309, or you loop around and you go back to where you came from. This would be cut off. Now, the Fair Hill Road to this side of the roundabout would remain two-way traffic. So this would still remain two-way, but nobody's coming in this way. So that is what determined that would be a semi-diversion. You divert basically half the traffic from the area. Next slide, Clay. All right, so we discussed this with the township. PennDOT agreed to do a study, but basically took that design that I just explained, and we did a study to see, okay, well, where's that traffic going to go that now can't go down Fair Hill? So we went back to DVRPC with the revised design, and they produced another set of traffic volumes that basically took that traffic that wanted to go down Fair Hill in that direction, and they put them on the other logical routes. This map up here, which you can't unfortunately see the little dots, but there was 15 intersections that were looked at along the impacted routes: Bethlehem Pike, PA 113, County Line Road, Keystone Drive, and Fair Hill Road. So between all those routes, there was 15 intersections that were studied. Most of them are signalized today, with the exception of the ones along Keystone Drive. Next slide, please. Okay, so what did this study show? So basically what the study showed was if we move that traffic to other spots, it's going to impact the other intersection, which is fairly logical. Unfortunately, a lot of the intersections it goes through, that traffic has to go through, are already heavily built out and already have issues now or in the future. So even the amount of traffic that was moved from that direction of Fair Hill through those intersections has sizable impacts on those intersections. Most of them being signals would, signal timings would be adjusted to the extent feasible. There's not really room for any physical improvements at a lot of these intersections just because where they're located and they're fairly built out. The intersection of Keystone and Church is a two-way stop today and would require to become a four-way stop just based on the increased volume. So with that in mind, that's kind of what the study showed. Obviously, there would be less traffic on Fair Hill because now it went somewhere else, and this is just saying, okay, where does that traffic go? Who does it impact? What intersection does it impact? And how does it impact them? A couple of other impacts that we discussed with the township. There will be other impacts like emergency response times, local access, because that will all be cut off in that direction because nobody can head in towards Fair Hill. So just some other I'll call them non-operational aspects that would happen if that was cut off from that direction. I think that's it. So that's what we have for our presentation.
Thank you. As I said, we'll have public comment at the end of the meeting and plenty of time for you guys to ask your questions. In the meantime, Jim or Joe, do you have any questions or comments?
I'll wait till
Okay.
the residents come up and then we can go from there. I'm good with that.
I do have questions.
Okay.
I do too.
We'll wait.
Okay. So moving on, legal solicitors report. Jack?
Yes, I don't know, do we want the lights back on, or? Yes, ma'am? The solicitor's report, we have one zoning hearing board application. This will sound like deja vu, but the applicant are Michael and Carrie Tedesco of 213 Casey Way. They were actually in for a zoning hearing board appeal a couple months ago. Are the Tedescos in the audience? Oh, there you go. You cut me off if I explain anything incorrectly, but the Tedescos were here and approved by the zoning hearing board last month?
Yes.
Okay. And now this application, it's a shame you have to make 2 trips, but this application is a rather garden variety application for a fence. They're seeking a variance to construct the fence at 4.5 feet in height rather than the required 4 feet per the ordinance. I'm not sure if there's anything more to it than that. You're welcome to comment if you would like.
Sure. Thanks so much for inviting us.
Why don't you come up to the podium, just introduce
Yes,
yourself.
thank you.
My lovely wife. She says she'd like to remain seated, so.
Yes, lovely and smart.
Lovely and very smart. Puts me on the spot. I'm Michael Tedesco. So what we're doing is we're putting a pool up. We're having a pool put in, which we're really excited about. And because of where we're located, I guess the ordinance, I might be using the wrong term for it, the rule is it has to be a 4-foot fence, right? We do see other areas in the township that have these 4.5-foot fences. Our neighbors all have 4.5-foot fences, so we try to match the rest of the neighborhood. We talked to our pool contractor, Anthony Sylvan Pools, and they said you should try to do what the rest of your neighbors have so it meshes with the neighborhood. So it's pretty much as simple as that. So where we are, 3 sides of our lot, we're going to do the 4.5-foot fence. We just want to make sure that the one side, we're in a cul-de-sac with only 2 other homes. We want to make sure that other side can just match with the rest of the property. We've talked to our neighbors about it. They're like, we could care less as long as we could use your pool, is what they said. So that's kind of where we're at, but we want to do everything by the book and just file the right things, and we don't ever want to have an issue, so that's why we filed it. And yes, it would have been great to do them both at once and save $950, but we are doing it twice, so it's good too.
Thank you. So based on that more thorough explanation, does the board foresee any reason for me to attend the zoning hearing?
I do not.
No.
Okay.
Absolutely not.
All right, well, great. Good luck to you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
All set.
Thank you.
That's all I have on, I believe that's all I have on my end.
Okay. So planning none. Engineering, Mr. Fulmer?
Yes, I have one item for you tonight. The Wawa Food Market, which is reconstructed at the intersection of Route 313 and 113 several years ago. This went through the land development process, which also included an 18-month maintenance period on all the required improvements. The maintenance period has run its course. My office at some point in that maintenance period had issued a punch list of items to the property owner. Effectively, it was really things like some landscaping that had died and so forth, nothing major. They have since completed the work, and on the agenda tonight for your consideration is my recommendation would be to accept the end of the 18-month maintenance period and authorize release of the remaining financial security, and we'd be looking for a motion for you to do that.
Okay. Can I get a motion to accept the, Can I get a motion to accept the end of the maintenance agreement and to release the financial escrow?
I will make that motion.
I will second the motion, subject to the payment of all engineering, legal, township administrative costs.
Yep.
If you don't mind me amending
No,
that.
absolutely not.
I will second that.
Okay. Any further discussion?
Not for me.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
That's all I had.
Thank you, sir. Unfinished business, The resolution 2024-006 is our fee schedule. After much consideration, we have come up with our fees for the township for 2024. And we're looking for a resolution to approve the fee schedule. Can I get a motion, gentlemen?
I'll make that motion, Mr. Chairman.
Is there a second?
I will second it.
Any discussion?
Not for me.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, unfinished business, we have zoning hearing appeal 2023-011 Garland Properties. And we have legal counsel here today.
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Caroline Edwards. I'm here on behalf of Garland Properties. We were before you last month on this application to the Zoning Hearing Board. The application seeks to increase the currently non-conforming amount of impervious surface on 3 properties that are going to be used for a reconfigured parking area. The property is currently non-conforming as to impervious surface, as I said, but also the fact that there is one parking lot that serves 3 properties. So that parking lot currently exists serving the 3 properties. I'm not going to go through the whole background of the property since we did it last month, unless you'd like me to. At the last meeting, we were asked to provide some additional information about the existing conditions, which we did submit, and I hope that you have that. If you don't, I do have some to hand out if you'd like, but I think you probably have that.
Yeah.
If you have that in front of you, if you turn to the second page.
Are you referring to your chart of what's
Correct.
changing? Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, there should be an email from me, which I forwarded an email from council on, council's email was March 8th, Friday, and I forwarded it to you on Monday, March 11th.
I do have some additional copies if it would be helpful.
We have that chart.
We're good.
in our
You got it?
packets.
We're good.
So what was added was the chart at the on the second page stating headed existing conditions compared to proposal. And the proposal that I'm comparing it to is the plans that are currently currently the subject of the application. So this identifies the fact that the existing parking does not have delineated parking spaces, green areas, or a design for proper circulation, whereas the proposal does provide for 36 delineated spaces with striping, parking islands, and curb stops. So what that would allow the township to do in the future is to confirm compliance with parking requirements for the uses on those properties. The existing parking does not have stormwater management. The proposal is to install stormwater management facilities that meet current requirements for these properties. And then below that, I have a tabulation of the amount of impervious surface area, first on the entire site, then on each individual parcel. And you can see that there is an increase for the entire site. For 2 of the parcels, there's an increase. For 1 of the parcels, there's a decrease. The amount of impervious surface on the site will go from 49.56% to 55.88% with this proposal.
Sorry.
We're going to be meeting with the Zoning Hearing Board on April 4th on this application. And as I said, the only thing that we need relief from is the increase in impervious surface. We're bringing this property, we're actually taking this property from non-compliance with respect to the striping, the islands within the parking, buffer yards, and stormwater management. We're bringing that into compliance. So this application actually gives the township an opportunity to take a property that's currently non-conforming in a number of ways, but bring it into conformity in everything except the impervious. And the reason we need the impervious is because of the site circulation and providing the islands within that, within the parking and then you have to expand the impervious.
If I may, so the only, with this application, the only nonconformity that would remain would be the impervious, which would be the subject of the variance relief.
Well, there would
Everything
be-
else would be brought into compliance?
There would be one other nonconformity, which is the fact that the parking stretches over the 3 properties.
Okay.
But that's been in existence for, as far as we can tell, as long as anybody can remember. It's always been that way.
Anybody else?
Any questions, comments, Joe? Jim?
I have some thoughts on this real quick, and again, I'm talking about this in public. I want to throw this out here. I think the township should oppose the application unless the applicant agrees to the following. Applicant agrees to continue the zoning hearing for 45 days to allow our township zoning officer / code enforcement officer to conduct an extensive review of the file, which we know is extensive. This has gone on for many years, and also conduct a site inspection to determine whether or not any zoning violations exist on the site. I would encourage the neighbors to submit to the township in writing, nothing verbal, in writing, what they believe to be violations on the site. If the violations do exist, then provided the applicant agrees to correct them, and correcting them be part of the conditions for approval of zoning relief, then I think the township would consider withdrawing its opposition to the application. That's my thoughts on it. I'm the longest sitting supervisor with respect to this. And again, obviously we want to talk about this out in public, so I want to know your thoughts on it, as well as my fellow board members.
So I think that is a logical request. Do you have thoughts on that? Do you want to
Well,
talk
I
to
do
your
have
client?
thoughts on that. I obviously
Thought you
haven't
might.
had an opportunity to consult with my client. but
Exactly.
This application was filed a year ago.
I recognize that,
So
but we
there has
also
been
have, we have
ample
4 inches
opportunity.
of paper on this. We need to get our hands around it. We have to do the right thing with respect to the residents. And I think you would agree to that. 45 days is not too much longer to allow us to do that. And if you're not in agreement with it, then we're going to oppose it.
Well, I'm just saying that the application has been in for some period
That's
of time.
me saying that. The board hasn't made that decision
Understood.
yet.
I understand
apologize for that.
But the application has been in for a considerable period of time.
Agreed.
It has been through a revision of the plan. We don't have control of the township file. The township has control of the township file. So if the township wants to review the township file, it had plenty of opportunity.
And we want some more. We want 45 days.
And we've been before this board. This is the 3rd time.
Agreed. And this is a big impact to the people living over there, so we really want to take a look at this. We want her to take a look at it. We want her to go out there. We want the neighbors to have the consideration to respond. The zoning enforcement
Zoning
officer.
officer.
Yes, zoning
Understood.
enforcement officer. I'm sorry, I didn't.
But we did get a review letter from her on
Agreed.
our application.
But I personally would like to see all of this cleaned up at one shot.
And have you received notices of other violations?
Not yet, but the people have stood here at the podium and obviously had some concerns. So I'd like to see those in writing so none of them get missed. And obviously some of them may not be a violation. It could just be a thought. We understand that. But I think it gives our zoning officer, code enforcement officer time to get all that together and take a look at all of this.
And is review by the public a requirement for every zoning hearing board application?
Review by the public.
So that every neighbor has the opportunity to submit their claims that their neighbor's violating the
Well,
ordinance?
I think that people came to the podium, therefore they have a right to address us, and I think in writing is, and obviously we would share all of this with you. We would not hold any of this back. We would share everything with you.
Understood, but I don't believe that every application for a variance has been where you've invited neighbors to point out violations, other violations that don't relate to the zoning hearing board application.
If you would, I mean, I think the pragmatics of this would be if you go to that zoning hearing, those neighbors could show up and do it right there on the record. This is actually an opportunity to maybe address things before they get to that point, before they get on the record. You'd be privy to what their concerns were in advance. Just a thought.
Well, they have the opportunity tonight, I mean, as they have the other 2 nights that we've been here, to indicate that they have an issue.
Well, I'm not going to poll the whatever neighbors
No, I
are in the
understand.
audience, but I don't think anyone prepped for that for tonight, but.
Understood. I'm just saying that I don't believe that this has been a requirement that has been imposed on other applicants
Well,
to the zoning hearing board.
If I understood Mr. Gross' suggestion, and if the other board members are agreeable, or one other board member is agreeable, I mean, you can still decline. You can just go forward on the 4th.
Understood. I can't make that decision myself, obviously. May I have 5 minutes
Absolutely.
to confer with my client?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sure, we can move on to something else.
We'll move on to something else, and then you can obviously have the podium again.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Continuing with the unfinished business, Park and Rec Committee discussion. So for the past couple months, we've been discussing the establishment of a Park and Rec Committee. And we have found out that our current ordinance does not verbally, specifically allow us to do that. So we are looking at authorizing Jack, our solicitor, to rewrite the ordinance to allow for the establishment of a Park and Rec Committee. Any objection to that authorization?
No objection.
No objection here.
Okay. You're granted.
On it.
New business.
Is that a legal term, Jack?
That is. That's from the Latin for on it.
New business. H&K. Go ahead, Lorraine. That's usually your forte.
H&K is asking for an extension of hours at their asphalt batch plant, crushing plant at Chalfont Quarry, and asphalt plant for the month of April, from 6:30 p.m. to 6:30 a.m. Now, that's not every single day. They're just broadly asking so that they can fill in when they need to.
And that's for turnpike work and
Yes.
that kind of stuff, yeah.
Okay. Is there a motion to allow H&K extended hours for the month of April?
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second?
I will second it.
Any discussion other than obviously striking private customers from the
Thank you.
agreement?
Yep,
Any other discussion?
none for me.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, Lorraine, back to you.
Huh?
You didn't know it was coming back to you, did you?
No, I did not.
Well, I can take it if you want. Resolution 2024-010 is authorizing Pledgett as an additional township depository. Basically, we need to pass an ordinance to allow us to invest money in Pledgett. Oh yeah, sorry, resolution. To allow us to invest money in Pledgett as a township depository. So we have resolution 2024-010. Is there a motion to pass that resolution?
I mean,
Could I just make a,
yeah, perhaps for the uninformed.
We discussed it before, but go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's all right, no, go ahead.
I'm sorry.
No, go
Just
ahead.
to remind those who might not have been here last time, this is the Pennsylvania Local Government Investment Trust. It's an entity that has been around a long time. It's comprised of member municipalities, and it functions much like a bank, but at least in the current times right now, their rates are much more competitive, so it would seem to make financial sense for the township to at least have the ability to invest some funds there as opposed to conventional commercial banks. Fair assessment?
yeah, I was just going to say, so the Pennsylvania law allows us to invest excess cash as we see fit for the township, but it's pretty specific on what we can invest in. Pliget specializes in this, and I don't know if everybody's familiar with the yield curve or interest rates, it's flipped right now. So we can invest cash and get 5% or so with minimal risk versus keeping it in a checking account or something like that. We were getting 1%, and they recently bumped it up a little bit, but So for the township, conservatively, it's probably 30,000 or so a month that we can bring in just through changing this process, so.
We appreciate the homework Joe's done on.
Yes, we do, and that's the reason why Joe is our interim township treasurer. Joe's very good with numbers, as you can tell, and I applaud him for taking a good hard look at this, and as a township resident, I thank him for doing so.
Thank you.
Well done. Yep, so if I could have a motion to approve resolution 2024-010 to allow Pledgett to be a township depository.
I will make that motion.
Is there a second?
I second that motion.
Any discussion?
No.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Jack, I'm going to throw this one back to you. Resolution 2024-011.
So this is a resolution that's being required by the folks who do our tax collection, Berkheimer Associates. This was news to me, but there's a small portion of the township down towards Line Lexington, which is in North Penn School District. So, so we needed this resolution to allow for both information sharing and restrictions on, late information sharing, utilizing Berkheimer as that tax collection vendor, for lack of a better word. So with the change of certain township officials via the earlier resolutions or motions, we needed to enact this or adopt this resolution as well.
Any comments, Jones?
None for me.
No. Okay, can I get a motion to approve resolution 2024-011?
I'll make that motion, Mr. Chairman.
Is there a second?
I will second it.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Supervisor's comments?
Joe, you have anything?
Yeah, the one thing I was gonna mention, I think it was pretty evident here tonight, but we made a lot of progress, I think, with the video camera in here, and we'll be posting that this week, hopefully on our new YouTube channel. And thank you to Dan. You've been incredible, and he's from North Penn Ridge School District and has been helping us throughout this entire process and has educated us quite a bit. So thank you for all your work. I think what I'd like to do is kind of take the next step from what we discussed last month, and I can start pulling together some recommendations. Did you guys hear that?
Yeah.
Pull together some recommendations on how we can improve the overall room in terms of audio-visual aids and things like that. So ideally, we're showing either what's in our binder here up on a screen, or as presentations are coming in, everybody can kind of see it. And it'll also be shared live when we get to that point on the broadcast. So
are you suggesting a screen we can see?
Yes, I am.
Yeah, I think it makes sense.
We moved it somewhere. Yes, agreed.
Okay.
So,
thank you. Jim?
As you know, Lorraine is retiring. We made that announcement tonight. I'd like to take a moment and thank Lorraine. She's been here 31 and a half years. When I first started the Water and Sewer Authority, Lorraine was the treasurer?
No.
Secretary
Secretary
of the township. And I got a lot of insight from Lorraine with respect to, local government, how to handle yourself. Then when I became a supervisor, she has a wealth of knowledge for me and really did a nice job for the township. I consider her a good friend. I always will. I want to wish her the best of luck. I think she did an excellent job for us all 31 and a half years. I will never forget some of the Christmas parties we had back in the day. And I really will cherish the friendship and the job you did for us. So thank you very much. I appreciate it. Thank you. I maybe don't like that. Go away. I'm sorry. That's it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I echo the same sentiments and wish you the best of luck in the future. So,
Thank you. I'll send you postcards.
please do. Please do. Is Garland back yet? Are they still out discussing? I don't want to move on to public comment. With the,
Yeah, might as well go back to the,
You may as well.
public comment, if there's any
yeah,
public
okay.
comment on the PennDOT presentation.
So public comment, I would imagine there's probably quite a few questions on the 309 connector. Head on up to the podium,
up,
just give your
sir.
name and address and fire away.
Not the terms I would use, but.
Nowadays, yeah.
No firing.
Mark Slovak, 222 Fair Hill Road, so about right down the road from the, about a half mile from the interchange there. Questions for the developers is, how are you coming up with the projected increases in traffic? So from my point of view, first of all, I'm 67, I'm probably not going to be around for the actual changes in 45, but it just seems from Spur Road to 152, it's all residential and there's a business or two. I'm just curious, where is the extra? Yeah, I think you have an 8-fold increase from 100 to 800 or so. Is that because of additional residential development, or I'm just curious where the projections come from?
Can you answer those at the podium? So we get it on the record. Thank you. Yeah, sorry about that.
Okay, so where are these numbers? So to just kind of discuss let me just go back with those numbers we just referenced. So yes, so there would be in the 2045, which is a 20-year time frame. So the numbers, they do increase. So where these came from. So I think I did mention earlier, the DVRPC, they did the study. They factor in a lot of different things into these numbers. It's not just what these projects are creating. It's background, traffic growth, employment, census data. There's a whole memo that they provide to us as they came up, how they came up with the numbers. And one of the things, which we didn't share tonight, but when we see, they can show us where they're projecting this traffic's coming from before it gets to anywhere on the network. We had specifically had them look at, okay, where is this traffic coming from that's getting to Fair Hill Road? Like, why is it increasing? Is it the interchange? Is it something else? And so actually what the numbers were showing was, it's actually the new interchange is a part of it. It's actually not the majority of it. What their numbers were showing was to the west of Bethlehem Pike in the Montgomery County side, like down the new connector road. That's where the bulk of the traffic was coming from that area and getting to the township. That's what they're showing. Because when you look at a map, there is not a whole lot of, you have 309 expressway coming through. There's limited roads that cross over that, Fair Hill being one of them. So when Fair Hill, with the new interchange design that we presented and the new bridge and the roundabout, it provides for easier access to the township and that side of 309. So in general, it provides a connection across 309 that's improved. So it's going to, it'll draw more traffic and also in those numbers, like I mentioned, is, any future development in the township and other points in that direction. It's kind of generally how they come up with these numbers.
Is that eastbound traffic?
Eastbound, yes.
So it's really coming from other roads that are going to be cutting through there.
If you don't mind, can you come? If you don't mind coming up, sorry about that. Thank you.
Barry Casper, 232 Fair Hill Road. So it's kind of far along. Convenience of the neighborhood kind of doesn't play too much of a role in these things. And the traffic heading eastbound, it'll be rush hour because you can't get back. So it'll be people going out unless there's people coming to work in the township with that kind of traffic numbers. It would just seem to me that there's a better way to, you're pulling traffic off of 113 that would normally be headed to 309 to get to 476. You're just pulling them up into the neighborhood there. You should just tell us that, I think. And right now on the road we live on, the traffic, what's the speed limit, 45? And you recently did some studies there, right? Traffic speed studies? I saw the boxes up there. Is that the township doing that? There's some boxes up there telling us how fast we're going over the speed limit. But in any event, I don't want to get into this. Is my first time coming. I've been following along with one of the neighbors who's been coming in and having discussions with the township and PennDOT. You're going to have this year alone. We've had 3 cars off the road in our yard. I don't want to get into all the personal stuff. I have a picture I just took yesterday. The mail truck off the road. This is the mail truck, right? They're not really going that fast. It's pretty narrow. So you got to address the speed, or somebody's going to get killed. Okay. That's what I'm hoping for. We're not going to stop the project, I don't think. But it's 45 now. But I've even invited the chief to sit in my driveway and write some tickets. Where is he? There he is. Because they're going 80, 75, 80 miles an hour in that in that straightaway. You guys have your speed monitors put up in the S turn, and so if you're getting feedback on the speed on Fair Hill Road in that S turn, it's a faulty number because you can't go. Like when you get to that straightaway, we'll stand out in the yard, and Mark's our neighbor. We'll stand out there, and it's amazing. It's almost like, I've been in the Air Force, it reminds me of some of the flyovers, right? And I'm not trying to be funny, because it's dangerous there. And the cars just roll off the road. They can't do it. So anyway, if you're gonna be pulling traffic off 113 with a light that's gonna come up, is there gonna be a light at Keystone and Fair Hill?
Keystone at 113.
But not at Keystone and Fair Hill?
Not required.
Okay. Well, that's kind of good news. And trucks on that road they can't make it now. So I'm just hoping you guys if they turn it over to you guys, you're gonna have to protect us. Because that's really what it's gonna be. If you try to get west from the major arteries to our homes now, we're gonna have to be inconvenienced, which I'm okay with that. I mean, that's progress. So-called progress. So I'm just hoping that when they turn it over to you and the chief, you can figure out a way to protect. There's young kids in our, I'm an old guy too. I'm not gonna be around much longer, but there's young families growing there. The road just is barely can handle what's happening now. So to see those numbers go from 140 to 800 is mind-boggling to me. And I think what Mark was trying to say is, I don't know how they came up with those numbers, unless you that's another thing for you guys. Aren't we, there's how many seats up there? 1, 2, 3, 4, there's 7 seats. 20 years from now, is there gonna be 300 seats there? There's only so much space in here. Like, we're kind of tapped out of space on that road, right? You know better than I do. So that's all I have to say. It's progress in a way, but you gotta control it. Whatever they let you do, please, just come in there and just don't make it so dangerous. So thanks for letting me speak.
Thank you, Barry.
Thank you.
Hi, good evening. Joe Roberto, 149 Fair Hill Road. I've talked about this at previous meetings. The first thing I want to say is I wish there would have been better advertising to all of the residents on Fair Hill Road, because I think this place would have been packed. I was disappointed with the fact that the meeting agenda was not even advertised till Thursday on a meeting that was on a Monday. So we diligently tried to get people out here. Neither here nor there. The question that comes to my mind is, what do you as supervisors feel about this? Because I know there's been a lot of conversations with the chief and so forth, but I have seen more debates and conversations about townships stopping Wawas from going into a commercial intersection than what's going on with a major artery, a 309 connector, going onto a country road that can barely handle what it's got. I just find it perplexing. Engineering, does engineering do the traffic studies in the township? I think that, yes, at this point, we've got our backs against the wall. It's a little too late in some aspects, but one of the things that really aggravates me is I sit down and I take a look at this map. Yes, I understand that they wanted to connect it to 309, but they could have connected it, they could have had the traffic go up Old Bethlehem Pike and go onto the next bridge that's up there and done a roundabout there, because they're doing a roundabout right in between the two. Why would you connect so much traffic going in both directions asking people, yeah, come on through Fairhill, a beautiful neighborhood that sits on top of a ridge with that much traffic. If you guys take a look, and I do compliment because I was able to see the mock of the volume of the traffic, and I thought that was very courteous of what they did. But as I take a look at it tonight, good luck trying to get the hell out of the driveways. I mean, this project is going to destroy the township. You're asking for a major thoroughfare. You've got Keystone that is not fit for a traffic light. You've got Green Street, you've got all these roads that we barely, as it is right now, can see to the left or the right. Thank God we got rid of some trees, but double the volume on that, and you tell me how much of your police are going to be stuck on cars. Cars are constantly flying off the road. But again, I go back to, I don't think it's too late. We may want to take a look at this going on to 309 and connecting it, but don't connect a 309 connector to Fairhill Road. I mean, that's kind of where I'm at with the whole thing. Here's the other thing I throw at the supervisors, the chief of police, the township. What are you guys going to do when good old PennDOT, who sometimes does a good job with snow clearing and sometimes they're nowhere to be found and the cars are stuck on 309. It's happened once already this year, where they were stuck on the curve of the Sellersville bypass. They never salted. They weren't even around until it was too late and everyone was stuck. Are you guys aware of that? What's going to happen when we have a roundabout on Fairhill and nobody can get up the incline, because it's all incline from Fairhill Road 309 north, and they're stuck there and the traffic is back? Let me tell you something. I'm going to be calling up the township and saying somebody better bring in a helicopter because I want to get home, because it's just going to be sitting on traffic. So we're worried about police going back and forth, but when we get in the thick of a storm or an accident, good luck on that one. That's probably my biggest issue, is the traffic backing up on Fairhill because of 309. I also don't understand how there's an interchange there when you have a major incline on 309. I mean, think about what it's like when you go past the motorcycle shop and you're going 309 north. It's all incline. We hear the trucks can't even sometimes get up that. You're going to put an interchange where it's going to be an on-ramp going north on an incline? Never heard of such a thing. I don't know. It's concerning to me. It's all I can tell you. I ask, and here's the other thing. I need an answer, and we need an answer in this township, because it's a township road past Fairhill in the roundabout. So PennDOT is willing to, they're talking about reducing the speed, and they're all for, it's not their road. I want to know what's the township definitively going to do, because we're like, well, the traffic study doesn't really necessitate a reduction in speed. We need to reduce the speed right now, with or without the 309 connector, end of discussion. And I want to know, what is the commitment of the township for reducing the speed bumps, and no trucks? And I think that if you as supervisors want to allow this to go through, and we're working with PennDOT, then I would like to see the township say affirmatively, you're going to do it, and you're going to make sure that that is the agreement. Whether PennDOT goes through with their willingness to put in speed bumps or whatever, it's a township road. So if you're expecting us as Fairhill residents to want traffic to go both directions, barely where we can get out of the driveway, at least do us a favor and reduce the speed, mitigate the problem, have no trucks, and get some speed bumps there, minimally. Please, thank you. And congrats, Lorraine.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Rich Constantine, 122 Fairhill Road. I'd just like to echo everybody else's sentiment. I've only been a township resident for a little over a year. I am an emergency services provider, paramedic in Chester County and Montgomery County. The speed on the road has to be reduced. Have sat in my living room, had Jeeps fly into telephone poles. We have young kids that live across the street. I worry about their safety. I'm to the point now where I honk my car horn in the driveway to try and get people to slow down. So I understand we probably can't stop progress at this point. I just implore the township, when that part of Fairhill Road after the circle, look at reducing the speed. You should be doing it now, but if you don't do it then, truck restrictions and possibly some speed bumps. There's a lot of wonderful people that live on that street, and we need to be protected. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, Shelley Schollenberger. I live on 1301 Keystone Drive. And I've actually been a resident here my whole life. I grew up on Marin Road, so I didn't get too far from home. So this is actually the first time that I even heard about this, which I thank you for raising that point. I had a neighbor that, gave me a text. I literally had no clue about this. So my question is this really a done deal? Or is there an opportunity for the community to, continue to express concerns and perhaps an alternative be determined? Because I'm not hearing, I haven't been here before, I'm not hearing that it's a dead deal, and I really would like to know where we are in the process here. So I don't know if that's a question to you all.
Please, yes, go ahead.
Just use the podium.
Thank you.
Yeah, so we are in final design. This alternative was selected by the multiple stakeholders, and we've gone through this environmental document. We have environmental clearance. We went through the public comment period. We solicited comment from the public. For instance, the roundabout at Fair Hill was not a roundabout, but when in consultation with some of the stakeholders, that has been revised to a roundabout to kind of slow down speed. So the project is in final design. We are moving forward, but just wanted to just as far as Mr. Roberto, as far as the interchange goes, that is all standard. There's no design exceptions. Everything is to standard for the interchange. So hope that answered your question.
Hold on.
Hang on. Yes,
Go ahead,
absolutely.
Go ahead.
Sure. I need to cut you off.
So when you say there was a public comment period, how were the residents supposed to know that there was a public comment period? Because this is the first that I've even heard about it. And then you speak to stakeholders. Who are the stakeholders? Like, to me, that's the residents. And
So
I can tell that with my neighbors here, we just found out about this.
Sure. So the public comment period was solicited from the township. We put it out to the township. We put it out to all residents in the vicinity of the project. Some people in this room have attended the public meeting. It was virtual. It was we showed a video, solicited public comments, kind of put that all, wrapped that up, summarized all that, and put it into our environmental clearance document.
Sorry, when you say you put it out, are you saying you sent letters, emailed?
Yes, we sent letters to all the.
Hold on. Yes.
Hang on.
Hold on.
Hang on. Let the man speak.
Clayton, when was that? End of 2022, I believe.
Yeah.
That time frame. So everybody within the project area was received a letter, and then we sent it out to all the townships to post it on their website to make people aware of the virtual meeting. Also a press release.
Okay.
There was a press release as well. Yes.
Okay. Let's maintain order, folks. Any other public comment?
Brian Richardson, 1319 Keystone. So I heard a lot of discussion about potentially what could occur on Fair Hill from a mitigation strategy. Is there any discussion? Because I understand back in May of 22, I guess there was a presentation, which I subsequently found out about, again, because thankfully somebody in the room brought it to my attention, but no other public disclosure that I was aware of other than being pointed by another resident who happened to stumble upon it. But in that, Keystone was a temporary traffic signal during the comment period, which has now evolved to a permanent traffic signal. So how could I have commented on something that wasn't there at that point in time? First off, I didn't know about it because it wasn't disclosed, but secondarily, where it's now permanent. So that's a real dynamic for Keystone as much as it is for Fair Hill, because there's as much traffic, very tight. I mean, I lose a couple of mailboxes a season on Keystone. So it's certainly not a dynamic that's unique to Fair Hill, but it seems like a lot of discussion and focus to date has been on Fair Hill and not Keystone. So. But I'd be interested, as others have said, I'd love to hear the supervisor's point of view, and so far we haven't heard that, so thank you.
Can I say another comment real quick, if you don't mind?
Sure. Come on up.
My partner and I did get a letter about the 202 meeting. We participated. So I want to say at least to these folks that yes, we got that. There was no traffic numbers though at that meeting, and so that in retrospect was disappointed. Now I then since went back to them, and they were helpful in terms of trying to give. They've been accommodating, but it's kind of been on one, and so I myself have been trying to bring this up. But again, I just am a little surprised. When we use the term stakeholders and Hilltown Township, there's a disconnect. And a little disappointed that Hilltown Township didn't take, you guys know that this 309 connector is going on. I can't imagine a more pressing issue that's come up with Hilltown Township than the 309 connector for the last 2-3 years. And there's kind of been like, I don't know, maybe you guys just thought it wasn't going to go through, but at this rate, it's going to go through. You got the traffic, you've got the road being torn up, you're just beginning the problems. You might want to really take a look at this. Thank you.
Anyone else? Public comment? Hold on. Got one more first.
My name is Dave Keller, Indian Valley Camping Center.
Dave, you gotta stay on the podium so we can hear you, unfortunately.
I just want to point out, this is our part of the equation here, where that traffic circle is going in. They are presenting to basically take away the heart of our business. I'm third generation. My grandfather started it. My dad ran it for a while. He's now retired. It's me and my brother. And that building is everything for our business. And it has our bathrooms on it, which there's no water and sewer there. So we're concerned about how we're going to continue to do business if this traffic circle comes through. And it almost seems like that part of the project is like an afterthought. And it's like, does that traffic circle need to go in order to make this all work? And we just honestly don't know what we're gonna do if this happens and when it happens. And PennDOT's been talking to us, and we don't really know when and if it's gonna happen or what we're supposed to do. Should we be getting architects and all this stuff to build another building? Like, we don't really have the space to build another building because we have all the RVs parked on the other side of the streets. We're on both sides of the road there, but it's just the business started there. My grandfather started there. It was a gas station on that corner there, and he started selling pop-ups out of there, and it just grew, and he bought the property across the street. And we don't know how we're going to function, and we don't know what the process is going to look like. Is Hilltown going to allow us to build a building across the street? And with the impervious and all this stuff that they were talking about,
Are you south of Jerry's? Is that you guys that's south of Jerry's there? Okay, on the same side of the street and the opposite side.
Yeah, we're on both sides of the street.
Okay.
But the hub of our business is what they're taking. We have four garage bays. We have a store, a retail store. We have all of our employees in there. Everybody pulls in, and that's where they drop off their campers. And then our sales lot is on the other side of the road.
Okay.
So we're sales and service.
Gotcha.
And I don't know. I've worked there for all my life since I was a kid. I started washing trailers when I was a little kid, and I don't see how we're going to function without that building. And if they allow us to build another building on the other side of the road, it's just going to take up so much real estate that we're not going to have room to operate. And I don't know really even what I'm saying or asking. We're kind of trying to accept that it's going to happen because it sounds like it's going to happen, but we really don't know. Some people, this woman over here asked, is it happening? When is it happening? Do we need to build another building? Because we cannot operate without that building. So
Dave, can you make that a direct question to the board, please?
Is it happening? Well, I've heard this question asked a million times, and
Go ahead. Go ahead.
and we've had meetings with PennDOT, and they discussed some other options there at, you know, regarding us. And again, I'm just speaking for us because I'm not really a part of the whole Fairhill thing. But, you know, they had an option of coming into CNS landscaping or putting a traffic light there at County Line and Bethlehem Pike. And for whatever reason, the traffic numbers didn't work out, and there's not enough angle or something like that. I don't know. But we just, I mean, I got a young family. My brother has a young family. We don't know what to do. And one of the big concerns also is the sewer, which we've asked them a million times. Are they going to bring us sewer? Sewer's down at what, Chop? So, like right now, our bathrooms are on that building that they're taking, and we don't have water and sewer on the other side of the street. So, again, we're just trying to figure out the next 5 years of our life, or 10 years, or whatever, because we don't know, you know.
Do you want to address the time frame?
Sure.
Yep.
Sure. And we've been working, PennDOT has been working with the Kellers through the right-of-way negotiation process. That's constantly being communicated with our right-of-way negotiation team. Anybody, as I mentioned, anybody whose right-of-way is being acquired, PennDOT is working with them to get them, to acquire the property and work with the landowners to, make them whole. So that's going on. So the project is scheduled to start construction in early 2027. The project is on PennDOT's TIP, 2026 TIP, Transportation Improvement Plan. So the project is happening, and 2026 is when construction it's going to be advertised for construction in 2026.
Sir, go ahead.
Hang on, Barry.
Hold on, Barry.
Rob Spank at 1309 Keystone Drive. This gentleman just said it's happening. Okay. We just sat here and listened to the board tell, and I apologize, no, the couple behind you, about protecting the residents. Twice protecting the residents about their zoning. No one's questioned us. Who's protecting us? You're worried about protecting them or their neighbors, but not us. We all live there. That's all I'm asking. Take the same care that you're doing against them to us. Thank you.
Let them speak.
My name's Tori. I live on Schultz Road.
What's your name? I apologize.
Tori Rose on Schultz
Tori Rose.
Road.
Thank
My
you.
concern here is we're taking all this traffic and we're going to deadhead it into Fairhill Road, which is nothing more than a country 2-lane road, which if you're driving side by side with 2 pickup trucks is difficult as it is. We're going to bring it into Fairhill Road, which then tees off to Keystone Road, which is an even narrower road. Off of Keystone Road, we have Diamond, Green Street, Keystone, Fairhill. These are all small, tiny roads. What's your budget plan to support all this more traffic? There's not enough space on these roads as it is. How do you plan on handling that? What's the budget? Is it in the budget? Are you going to widen all these roads? Because right now, if you're on any type of pickup truck, I pass my neighbors in pickup trucks and you got to slow down just to get off the side of the road. So why on earth would Hilltown Township, and I fully support you guys, you do a great job, but why on earth would you want to take this massive traffic and dump it into the heart of our community? Why would we ever think about doing that? Why would we do that? Why isn't this a dead end and dump it back onto the main roads? Why isn't this going back on the 113 and the 309? Why would you want to dump this into the heart of our residential community where there are small, tiny roads to begin with. So, and I do fully respect you guys. You do a great job in Hilltown Township. But why we want to take all this traffic and dump it right into a bunch of tiny residential neighborhoods, I'm perplexed by that.
Thank you. Go ahead, Barry.
So what Tori said and Dave said and Joe and Mark, you're going to go eastbound on Fair Hill, get to use the nice roundabout, but when you come home, you're going to backtrack on the road you always went on. You're going to end up on 113 going the other way, right? So those numbers don't make any sense to me. But a lot of, Jim, you've been at this a long time. Hilltown, I've been living here for 23 years. Hilltown's taken great care of us, not to, I'll try to watch my mouth there, not to screw it up. This is one of the worst ideas of all time since I've been coming to the, okay? And Tori just laid it out beautifully. You can't even drive our roads. You're wrecking businesses. You're wrecking one of the nicest roads probably in the area. Beautiful neighborhood, Fair Hill. In the winter, you can see all the way to Philadelphia. You're wrecking that neighborhood. Businesses are getting crushed, okay? And it's not going to be safe. And I know you guys wanted to get rid of that bridge, if memory serves me, okay? You could get rid of that bridge, but there's got to be a better way than to bring that traffic down into, and Tori's right, Keystone is a nightmare to drive that road. It's a nightmare. Every day I drive it out there, I almost get it. In fact, this is no lie. I'm getting a camera put in my car just for that road, because I know I'm going to get taken out, and it's getting worse. And I know the personal side of this. Sir, what's your name again?
Chris.
Which Chris are you?
Chris Ballard.
Okay, Chris. So PennDOT is PennDOT, monster PennDOT. Nobody could mess with PennDOT. The stakeholders are people we don't know. We might know the quarry owners. We might know the big donor contractors who are going to make the money from doing this project. They're the stakeholders I think he's talking about. These are the stakeholders that you should be worried about, not them. So the question was, do you support it, or are you going to go with it? You're dodging the question, it seems. You guys never dodge questions. I never seen you dodge questions before like this. Sorry.
When you say support it,
are you gonna? Is it a done deal? Where's that nice young lady?
do we have?
Who asked? Is it a done deal? She just found out about it tonight.
It's unfortunately, Barry, it's PennDOT. We don't have the ability to quote unquote kill it, but we have the ability to take a look at all the. Hang on a second. I was kind enough to let you speak. Now let me speak. Fair enough.
Yes, sir.
We have the ability to look at the roads that we have control over, which are Fair Hill, Keystone, and I agree with everybody here. Those are things we need to look at. But as far as supporting the project or killing, we can't do that.
Bad choice words, mate. You see the small, a little sentiment. And thank God for Joe, right?
I live on Fair Hill too.
I know.
I live there also, so believe me. This isn't falling on deaf ears.
You know the neighborhood, right?
Yes.
How many times have you driven down Fair Hill?
Not as many as
right. Yeah,
How about the people crunching the numbers? How many times? And that's not even Fair Hill. It's the whole setup. 113 to Keystone to Fair Hill to the roundabout. That's really what it boils down to, right?
Correct.
Except when you're coming back. So it's kind of BS, you know what I mean? To me. But anyway, you always do the right thing. If there's a better way and it's not too late, you should look at it, because this will go down in history. I'm not even going to probably be here like Mark said. This will go down in history as the biggest one yet. Okay? Thank you.
Thank you.
Sir, in the front, did you want to say
You wanted
something?
to speak? Yeah, you. Mm-hmm.
My name is Ray Cuppy. My concern is I noticed all the studies are done west of the 309 bypass. What about between the Old Pleasant Pike and what's that traffic going to look like? Between Old Pleasant Pike and the 309 bypass.
We have those numbers, but we don't have that numbers with you. I know we're meeting with you with the right.
I asked, nothing, and as far as being contacted, I have not been contacted when this project come up, and in fact, when they were telling me about it, so that's a lie.
Okay.
So I'll be waiting to hear from you.
Yeah, sure.
Thank you.
Sure. Really wrong.
Yeah.
I'm the only one that knew about this meeting.
So,
to everyone in this room, there's something.
hold on.
Hang on. I understand.
Go ahead.
So, Mr. Cuppy, I know we've been in discussions prior, and I know the right-of-way team is setting up a meeting to go over your individual property. I think they just sent us some dates, so we'll be in contact with you very shortly. Yeah. And we will in April. And I just want to say, every individual property owner our team is meeting with, our right-of-way team is meeting with and explaining the impact to their property. And us as engineers, sometimes they come to us with questions. Mr. Cuppy's situation is something where engineers want to get, they want us involved, and we're going to have that discussion in April. Yeah, you're between 309 and Bethlehem Pike. You're the only property. Yeah, well, the Lesky property, Crestwood Autos.
I'm sure you guys
is still staying. So.
You guys can probably get together afterwards and work that stuff out. Anything else, guys?
Do you guys think that you will be, helpful in the fact that if we have to build another building on the other side of the road, is there going to be
Financial relief.
Yeah.
I think you're talking to a board that's very compassionate about business and residents, so we'll cross that bridge when it comes.
Yeah. Okay.
We appreciate you coming to the podium.
Go ahead, sir.
All right, the race is on.
Hi, John Nevesey, 1133 Keystone Drive. I have neighbors here that I've never met because my street is not safe enough to walk on. I live on the bend of Keystone Drive, half mile from the new traffic light. My 4-year-old son cannot play anywhere near the street. Cars rip around that corner. It's a blind turn. Can't walk on the street, can't ride a bike on the street. Is any concessions being made to that street, modifications, speed bump, anything around that turn or near that turn? It's a 35, and it's nowhere near 35.
Thank you.
Nick Soliberto, 130 Schultz Road, just moved from 504 Fairhill Road. Had a lot of conversations with Dave and know the family really well. There was a comment made earlier that they were going to be made whole. So the concern is, by this gentleman right here. So the concern that Dave has, and I just wanted to help put it out there, they've been a pillar of the community with this business. You're going to take the heart of their business. While that's being done, how are they going to be made whole? Is somebody going to supply them with the financial losses they're going to have? Are they going to be allowed now to build another building when they might need variances on impervious surfaces? What's going to happen to the amount of inventory they can no longer have because they now have to put another building up? What if PennDOT doesn't make them whole? Is the township going to make them whole financially? And what about other businesses that are going to be affected by this? I just hope he gets the answers to those questions. They got families to raise. They got a business to run. And that's the heart of their business.
Hi, guys. Dan Schollenberger. I'm on 1301 Keystone Drive. I guess I want to ask the representatives here in the front row, has there been any kind of an assessment on property values when these kinds of projects have been implemented in a neighborhood like this? And what is what's going to be the effect on our property values? I mean, I have a list of, 20 questions, but.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
So I guess I'm asking you folks, can that be supplied if that's something that you guys do? You want to come up? Yeah.
Sure. Typically, us as engineers, we don't conduct those, but that's why roadway improvements are made to kind of spur the economy, spur infrastructure, spur jobs. So to your answer, no, it's not being done, but it's kind of, this is development, and usually development works out for the property owners.
Thank you.
Is that something that we can request?
Well, That would be a question for PennDOT, someone at PennDOT.
So that would be on me to ask PennDOT?
If you have a specific question, I'm sure they have someone in a certain department that can probably help you out.
Okay, all right, thanks.
Thank you.
All right, love to finish public comment and go back to Garland. Is there anything else before we go back to Garland? All right, I appreciate it, folks, and keep in mind, you know, we are listening to you guys.
Yeah, we're hearing what you're saying. We
It's
we
not
understand your frustrations, and I don't mean to cut you off.
No,
go ahead.
No, go ahead.
But you know, obviously our roads are something, and the residents that are affected are something that we would definitely take a look at. There's no doubt. Obviously, we can only do so much with respect to, you know, where our roads start and or stop and where their project starts. But obviously, we heard everything you had to say. So thank you.
Yeah, they're not falling on deaf ears.
Can I just?
Sure.
So one thing this is somewhat new to me as well, unfortunately. Obviously, I've only been in this role for 2 months or so, but based, I think, on where I'm located in the township, this project isn't, you know, something that's come across my radar either. That said, I have all the questions that have been raised are similar questions that I have as what sounds like a non-stakeholder. And so I think I'm not even clear on whether or not this thing has the ship sailed, or who's the decision maker in terms of this project from PennDOT's side.
For a project of this size, one of the major steps is getting the environmental clearance. And that's where I know there are some disagreements today, but we did solicit inputs throughout this time, and we did have communication through notice of intent to enter letters, particularly those properties that were impacted. And that started almost, what, Chris, around 2019 or 2020. So it has been a long path to where we are today. And at this point, we are in the final design, as Chris mentioned. And what leads to that is right-of-way acquisition process to start. As far as we always say from an engineering point, not the right-of-way point, we always listen to any question and comment all the way until the project starts, even during the construction period. So we are, and that is why even after the environmental clearance, the additional traffic analysis that Chris shared today, those were initiated by Mr. Roberto and others. And although it was just one person or a group of people, we have always come back and responded to those with analysis and in writing. On top of it, we have a website that has been up since 2017, 16. And for our, before HT3, there was the section HT2, which went through the similar type of communications. So, and we have received a lot of inputs. And once again, until the construction starts, even during the construction, we do listen to the property owners. And you can hear that from the property owners who are right now in the HT2 area, that during the construction, whatever the issues, and if something was missed, we try to address those. So we, although as I mentioned, the project is funded to go into advertisement in 2026, and we are in the acquisition phase, but we continue to listen to those concerns, and we will be trying our best to address each of those concerns on a ongoing basis. And one more time, there was a remedies that we have already suggested for the concern, some of the concern, I'm sure there will be others, that we can work together with the township and the local residents to mitigate some of those concerns. I hope.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, Can you give residents a sense of what the best steps are going forward, at least, so we can, I heard a whole bunch of questions. It doesn't sound like, I don't know what the full population is of people impacted, but a lot of unanswered questions and concerns. How do we pull them together and get those answered?
Sorry, I don't know what's happening here. So at this point, as you have heard today, there are, again, I may have missed some, but there are concerns coming from the property owners who are being directly impacted. For those property owners, again, communication started from the day of.
But they're saying that they were not contacted. So I'm trying to figure out.
Sure.
What is the best? Can we give them somewhere to go, somewhere to?
Yeah. Can they email you?
Email you, a contact?
Absolutely.
Right. Yes.
We actually, I am the overall project manager, but from the engineering side, but right-of-way team is also under me. And the right-of-way team, they have communicated, and Chris will share Mr. John Brodish, who is leading the acquisition efforts. And just to let everyone on this room know, right-of-way is a very sensitive item and very personal item. And there is a bi-weekly meeting. Every 2 weeks, we go through each of the acquisitions and what type of communication is happening with each of the property owners. And we do have exact record of those communications, exact date of the letters of communication, and the conversations that takes place. So we do have record of all of it. And somehow if we have missed anything, we will urgently bring it up if there is.
But those are people that you're going to acquire part of the property, is that what you're saying? So for those impacted that there's not an acquisition of part of their property, there's been outreach to those individuals as well?
Sure. So now we are coming to the conversation about traffic, peripheral traffic impacts and so forth. For those, I will definitely direct again to the website. We have all our communication contacts there. They can come directly to us, or they can come through the townships. And what would be the other? Those are
PA309connector.com. They can contact you guys individually.
They can come directly to us, or they can come through you. Just like today, we are here on your invitation to address or listen to all the questions.
So if they can go on that site and they can email you directly with questions. Is that correct?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yep.
All right.
There's all kinds of contact informations are up there. We can also pull it up towards the end of the meeting.
Can I make a comment? Go ahead.
With all due respect to what he just said, I believe you contacted the people that are directly affected with the properties. How many people in this room received any type of notification? How many just found out within the last 48 hours? And we're all in the direct zone. Whatever you want to call it, we're all right there in the heart of it. I'm at Keystone, right at Keystone and Fairhill. So that traffic's going to be coming down our road, hanging a right, or hanging a left, either way to where they're coming. None of us were notified. I'm looking at a piece of property right next door to where we live right now. And this is hinging on if I buy that property or not. Right? You know the property. It's 8 acres, split on Keystone Drive.
I don't know the property.
It was all past variances now.
Oh, okay.
It's now been, a bill of sale has been handed to me in my hands. I'm not signing it until I know what's going on with this. It's right on the bend there. The gentleman it's right across the street from you. Yep. So I've never received anything. I spoke to him with the development. He has no idea. Not a clue. Anybody from that perspective, nobody in this room knew anything about it. If it wasn't for Brian, I wouldn't have a clue. He was kind enough to inform me. And I know you informed him. Correct. So we're all doing it ourselves here. So you can tell everybody you want, but I can tell you, you only probably told the people that affected you directly. Not one of us received the communication. I get everything in my house.
I think moving forward, we know how you can get in touch with them. So,
well,
I do appreciate
it's too late now.
Should there
No disrespect, it's too late.
Miss.
The mailing list. Can we get copies of the mailing list so we can see who was notified?
That is not our decision.
That's not our decision.
Okay.
Again, you got a room full of people that has no idea what was going on until 24 hours ago, 48 hours ago. So I think that's a big disconnect. You can tell everybody you want. I can tell anybody I want. Nobody knows.
Okay.
Thank you.
We do need to move on to be fair, so real fast, please.
Real fast, I think the disconnect is PennDOT does their thing. PennDOT does their thing, Hilltown Township has their opinions, and you guys are meeting directly, but I think Hilltown should have sent out a mailing and said, by the way, PennDOT's coming to talk about the 309 connector. I think that's your job, because all of the people here live on Hilltown Township roads. We're not sitting on 309. So I think that Hilltown has got to play a bigger role in this, rather than us individually going to a 309 connector. I will tell you, Brian's been wonderful. I email him every 2-3 weeks trying to find out. But for me to find out, that really should be coming from Hilltown Township, to be honest with you. We all know trying to talk with PennDOT, it ain't gonna work. It doesn't work. We all know that. That's just my philosophy. I think you guys have got to figure out how to help us facilitate conversation and transparency so that we can have input. And had this gone on, had PennDOT and these folks come months ago, a year ago, and said, by the way, we had a meeting with PennDOT and this is what it looks like, and you guys put it on the agenda, and even if they weren't here and tell us where you're at, what your feeling is, and what you heard, that would have been a big help. I don't know if we're too late, but I'm going to ask you guys to really make this a special emergency meeting. Thanks.
Thank you.
Okay, let's move on to Garland. If you are here for the 309 connector and you want to exit before this next phase, feel free. I don't want to keep you here for the next part.
So you guys are going to contact me? Or what's the deal? Huh?
Okay, we need to move on, so if you're going to leave the room, please do. All their conversation needs to stop, folks.
Mr. Cuppy.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you are going to continue to talk, you need to go out to the lobby. We need to continue this meeting.
Waiting for somebody.
Thank you for your patience.
So we submitted an application for a specific proposal for a reconfigured parking area. We made the submission, we received review letters from the township engineer and the code enforcement officer. Based on that, we were told we needed relief from the impervious surface. If you've requested time to allow investigation of unrelated, whether there are violations on the property that we're not requesting relief from. If there are other violations, if there are violations on the property, then that would be the subject of a separate enforcement action, completely unrelated to this variance application. We want to move forward with the hearing before the zoning hearing board on the very specific application that we have submitted, which is for a slight increase in impervious surface to allow the reconfiguration of the parking area.
Okay. So at this point, I think we need to know where the township stands.
I stated where I am. I wish to send the solicitor to oppose the application.
Joe?
Yeah, I agree with Jim. So for me, I understand there's a lot of history. I'm still personally trying to get up to speed on everything as best I can. I'm not sure, what 45 days at this point would do.
It's been a year.
I understand that, but I'm saying what's 45 days? What's the impact of 45 days?
Well, it's not only the 45 days, it's the fact that there's been a request for a time period to investigate violations of the property, to try to find violations on this property. This is an application for a variance that was identified in the Township Engineer Review Letter that we need to reconfigure the parking lot. We're not asking for anything else that raises an issue with respect to the ordinance.
if I may, the investigation is not to find violations. We have heard, the township has heard complaints from the neighbors about this project and complaints from the neighbors going back before this application came in. So again, I'm not trying to put words in the supervisor's mouth, but it seems to me that we're trying to confirm whether or not there are other issues there or not.
And what relevance does that have to an application for a variance for impervious surface to reconfigure the parking?
I'm sorry, I'm going through a Rolodex of responses right now. How about you just say no thanks, and I think that's what you're saying.
Right, I felt that I owed them an explanation of my thought process on that.
I see a lifeline, but you don't see it that way, so.
Well, I guess I didn't understand if you're saying to me that if we grant the continuance, you will not oppose it, but that's not really what I heard.
No, again, I don't.
Go ahead, Jimmy.
I don't want to put words in the supervisor's mouth. What I heard was,
go ahead.
Grant the continuance. The township goes out and confirms if there's any other issues out there or not. If there are issues, then you get to know about them going into the hearing. Maybe you can adjust your application. Maybe you can address those other issues. Maybe that alleviates some opposition, or maybe all the opposition, for all I know, at the zoning hearing. And then the neighbors get what they want and you get what you want. I think, again, without putting words in the supervisor's mouth, that's what he was trying to say.
Understood. And I just want to say that our application has been out there for a year. It was revised. We got revised review letters. We know that there are neighbors in opposition who are represented by counsel, yet I have not been contacted to say, here's a specific concern that we'd like to have addressed.
And this is the chance.
Yeah. But the chance is actually a conversation that if I had been contacted, of course I would have that conversation.
Right, and now under this proposal, there would be 45 days for you to hear what those other objections
But we've already had a
would be.
month since the last hearing, and nothing came out of that. I have not had any communication whatsoever.
Well, now we're saying
Yeah.
you better come forward, you being the neighbors, and identify if you've got issues. But again, your client's choice. I'm just
Right, and we understand. We understand that this may come out at the hearing, but we do feel at this point that we should move forward.
Okay.
But thank you very much.
Thank you.
So Jack, you have your marching orders for the 4th? Okay.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Can I make a brief comment on this?
Sure. I don't see why not.
Okay, Chris Englehart, 808 Blooming Glen Road. Unfortunately, our council couldn't be here this evening. But again, I would, support a denial of this going forward. Again, the conditions of that property have not existed as long as anybody can remember. That's not disingenuous at best. These are 3 separate properties. They're looking to double the parking spaces without saying exactly why they want to double parking spaces. There's a history of not abiding by zoning or building, and also of not agreeing or abiding by the agreements that were agreed to in this room. So I would agree to an objection and going forward on this project.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Any press? No? Can I have a motion to adjourn the meeting at, looks like 9:53? 8:53? Jeez, time flies, we're having fun. Need my glasses.
I'll make a motion for 9:50. No. I'll make a motion for 8:53.
Oh, yeah,
Yes.
that's right. It is.
Second.
Okay, we're good. All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.